I think I should have brought a fan out here with me tonight. It is fucking warm out, yo. Where's all my suspects? Come on, guys. 10 minutes ago, there was 10 of you. Let's get about 40 of you on here. What's up, Davin? What is a wave? Hi, I'm waving to you. That makes you feel cool, doesn't it, Davin? That I'm waving. Hi, buddy. I'm waving. Everybody thinks they're cool. Like I think I'm cool. Ashley, you're back. Are you gonna chime in a little bit about the sobriety subject? Chica Bear. Stacy Earl's back. What are you guys doing? Everybody wants to hear about this fucking sobriety thing I do, huh? I'm surprised. Especially for my buddy Joe. Oh, I'm sorry, Chica, I was talking to Ashley Eaton. Tonight is what we're going to start calling Sober Sunday. So, any questions? You know, we talked about this, all of this being open and honest, and when I was talking about parenthood and you know, deadbeat dads and how all that worked last Monday. I heard that the audio was pretty bad, and I know the video was bad. You couldn't see us. I actually never went back and watched it, so it's probably bad, but yeah, that's Rehab on there. I've been listening to them since before they had Hank Jr. do a song with them. I'm talking about back in the day when they, this isn't the Rehab they were back then. So, I was excited to talk about this a little bit before we get into the Sober Sunday. We got, Alan and I have been looking at this camera that I ordered, and it's got handles, the little microphone goes in there, but I'm not too sure that this thing is going to do what we need it to do, so I might be sending this back. But I just thought I would let you guys know that we've been doing this on my iPhone, and I am working on, like I said, I might be returning this camera itself. But I'm working on a nice studio camera, so when I sit down like this to do a chat with you guys, it'll be a little bit better quality. Alan and I talked a little bit about some tech today, some programs that we're looking into. Joe gave me some really good pointers on some stuff. So, I went out, listen guys, I went out to Hillbilly Honda's headquarters today. Man, you guys are going to have a good time watching that channel, I'm telling you. If you're not already linked up with them, subscribe, notifications, get all that shit. Hillbilly Honda, you can find them on YouTube, and they're insane. I quit counting at 6, so they've got 6 4-wheelers, a couple 3-wheelers out there, and they're just going nuts on them. You know, they're working on some of them. They're going to show you, you know, they've got, what I do isn't so much focused on exact content, and what Hillbilly Honda's doing is very content oriented. They're going to give you a lot to watch and laugh and say, holy shit, how did they do that? So go over there and like that page on YouTube. It's on my page. I am not technologically smart, so I will try to post another link to it, but there is a link already on my page if you want to go look for it, straight for YouTube, and check it out. Get on there. He hasn't even posted any videos yet. He's got a couple videos on there from last year, but it's not the content they're going to be doing today, or, you know, these videos today. So, hi, Aunt Lynn. Hi, Alicia. How's it going? So, a couple of you guys are on here that asked me about the sobriety thing. So, I don't even know where to begin with the sobriety thing. That's what I keep getting questioned about, is talking about that. And the thing about it is, it's really hard to talk about how I went from party daily, deadbeat dad, horrible boyfriend, lazy ass worker, to lazy ass worker, decent husband. No, I'm just kidding. From going from partying the way I used to being able to deal with it now and not really having an issue, because I don't do AA. Everybody says, well, not everybody, but most everybody I talk to say that you can't live sober without AA, and I disagree. It's not for everybody. There is actually a group that meets that's just like AA, very similar to AA in their principles, but they believe in moderation, not in abstinence. I don't know if I agree with that either. What I do now, I actually learned, or I'm stealing the phrase from my boss, Dave. He said he didn't quit drinking, he just doesn't drink. And it's a powerful phrase, and I've been using that a lot when people, if you're out at a party, my age, tatted up, if you've heard of me and you don't know me, chances are you've probably heard that I was wild, crazy, could drink, I'll drink most. So if you see me at a bonfire and I'm drinking water, you're probably going to question, and another thing, when you're sober, you always got, like, everybody's uncomfortable. Like, every time you talk to one of your old friends and say, hey, I am going to come hang out with you guys. I miss you guys. I want to start spending more time around my friends. Even my close friends say, hey, we don't have to drink to hang out. Like, fucker, I don't care. What people need to start understanding, sobriety doesn't mean that your life ended. It doesn't mean you can't be around alcohol. Maybe it does for some, but for me, it doesn't. You guys can drink all day. I may not stay till 4 a.m. being loud, crazy, and all that anymore, but I can still come out and hang with the best of them and have fun and laugh being sober. So, but the question of, if you knew me before and you've heard of my reputation, then you're going to be very surprised that I'm not drinking. So I like what Dave said, where he says, I didn't quit drinking, I just don't drink. What that means is I'm not sitting there shaking because I can't have a beer. I'm not sitting there constantly thinking about alcohol because I'm with my friends who are drinking. I'm not devoting every minute of my time to going to AA or AA events because I'm not quitting drinking. I just don't drink. The don't drink part, it simply means if I go to a bar, a sports bar, to watch the Tigers game, I'm probably going to order a water or a Mountain Dew or Pepsi. I'm not going to order a beer. And it's not because I quit drinking or because I'm counting the days that I've been sober. It's because I just don't want to drink. I'd love to get drunk. It'd be great. But I know I can't. It's not healthy for my life, my family, not just my family at home, but my sister Michelle's on here right now. Not good for my relationship with Michelle or Brandon or Brooke or Will or Nikki or Missy. I'm pretty sure most people that know me would explain by saying I'm a pretty great guy until I'm drinking, and then I'm an asshole. When your own daughter at 16 years old tells you that she loves you, but she won't come over and hang out with you if you're drinking because you can get mean. Not all the time, but you just never know. Is it going to be the nice Derek? Is it going to be laughing and joking and having a good time and singing songs and the life of the party? Or is it going to be the guy that's just a straight up asshole who is picking at the kids and I never beat on my kids. I never beat on my wife. That's not what it was. But I could straight up be a dick to everybody around me, everybody I love. So you got to make a choice at some point in life. Is drinking really worth making your kids feel like shit? Or do I want my son to continue this fucking stupid ass cycle that's going on? I don't want my daughter, they say your son will grow up to be just like you, your daughter will grow up to marry someone just like you. I do not want my daughters or my son, I don't want my son acting like I used to, and I damn sure don't want my daughters dating somebody like me. If they end up dating and marrying somebody like I used to be, I'm gonna fucking end up in prison. Because I'm not gonna watch my little girls get treated like that. You know, I'm lucky that Jess and I have been together 12 years, and she's put up with my shit long enough to get me to a point where I realized I needed to change. So that's a great segue into how the hell do you go from that to this. So the cops telling you have to stop drinking is not going to work. Your wife telling you need to stop drinking, it ain't going to work. Nothing is going to stop you from drinking if you want to drink. And I know there's probably some guys on here from AA that are saying, oh, he's on a pink cloud. I'm not on a fucking pink cloud. I've been doing this for the way that I'm doing it right now. I've been doing it for over 2 years. I don't count days, so I don't fucking know. But I'm doing just fine. I can go to the store and buy drinks for everybody, and it doesn't bother. I make you a drink. I'll get you a glass of wine. I'm fine with it. So the changing part, the actual changing, because you could quit drinking, and that doesn't mean, you go to AA every day and not drink. That doesn't mean that you're sober. There's a lot of people that go to AA and they do it on a daily basis, and they are still drunk in their head, and they're white knuckling it. And if they don't go to that AA meeting, they're done. I mean, there's people that have to go to those things every single day, or they'll turn into the bar rather than turn into the AA meeting. And I got a lot of respect for everybody, and then the way they do their thing, I 100% love everybody that does their thing. What, babe?
I'm hungry.
Can you go get your sister for me, please?
Something to eat?
Get your sister, please.
Get your sister?
Get Addie for me.
Why?
I just need to talk to her. Get her for me real quick. Harper's hungry. Maybe I'm gonna try to see if Addie will get her something to eat. Jess needs to wind down. I thought Harper was already zonked, but so anyways, back to the change thing. So Jess, everybody assumes that I quit because of Jess, and it has nothing to do with Jess. I mean, it has a lot to do with Jess, but it was not Jess saying you quit or I'm done. Will you make her some toast or something for me, please? Thank you. Do I know that Jess was going to give up on me at some point? Fuck yeah. Yeah, I knew she was at her wit's end. I could see it. So I actually, a couple years ago, my daughter Monica and I had a chat, and it led to me thinking about a lot of things. There again, she didn't ask me to quit drinking. Nobody asked me to quit drinking. I actually kind of surprised the shit out of everybody when I did. I made some phone calls, and I got back in to see my counselor that I saw when I was on drug court. So we'll go through all that, but I did 15 months of drug court, never one violation, never got in trouble one time, graduated in the minimum amount of time. I was a rock star for drug court. And thank God Jess was there, because I wouldn't have made it without Jess. But so after this discussion I had with Monica, and it was a couple years ago, a little over 2 years ago, I think, I contacted Christy, my counselor, and I started seeing her again. Jess didn't know I was going. My bosses didn't know. I didn't say anything to anybody, and I was still drinking at the time. And my counselor knew I was still drinking at the time. So here I am, still getting drunk, but I'm talking to a counselor every day about alcoholism, or not every day, once a week. She knew I was drinking, and we kind of just worked through it. I didn't just stop. I kind of slowed down a little bit. And then there's a meme I see, or meme, or whatever the fuck you call it, floating around on Facebook that says, I didn't like the way I lived, so one day I just woke up and changed it. That's literally what happened to me at that point. I'd had this talk with my daughter Monica. She wasn't very happy with me and my drinking. Good job.
What are you trying to make right now?
Nothing. I'm just talking to a friend of mine.
make a video.
Okay, well, when I come in, we'll make a video. Holy moly. Hey, Moose. Interesting that you just popped up. So, Monica, that just got on, that's my beautiful daughter. Her and I had a discussion about my drinking, and she had some not so good feelings about it. So, literally, after talking to my counselor for maybe a month, I literally woke up and just stopped drinking. I just stopped. It was like I swear to God, it was like a light switch. Somebody flipped a light switch, and I didn't think about drinking. I didn't stress about drinking. I didn't care about drinking. We started doing, and I always say it's kind of cliche, but I was trying to be Ward fucking Cleaver. Like, I'm trying to fix my relationships with Monica, with DJ, with Jamie, with Tayton. I mean, I'm juggling all this shit with the kids, and I'm trying to make everything better and be a good dad for Harper and Addie because they're in the house still. And so it was work, work, work as much as I could, and do my new motto, going from drill sergeant dad, who I was constantly on top of the kids. They had to walk on eggshells because if they didn't, like I said, I was either asshole or wonderful, and they never knew who I was. So it was like Jekyll and Hyde type shit. Come to find out, I'm bipolar. So, thanks, sweetie. I love you. So, come to find out, I was bipolar, and that had a lot to do with it. I'm on medication for that. So, anyways, so I went from drill sergeant dad to yes dad. And I don't mean I'll just give them anything they want and spoil them. I mean, if there is not a logical reason for me to say no, I don't say no anymore. If Monica needs something, she calls me. If it's within my means and I can do it, I don't say no. A lot of times before, I was the type of parent, you know, you want me to come pick you up and take you shopping or whatever. I'd just say no just because I was lazy. I was laying on the couch and I didn't want to do shit. So for the kids, it was a necessity. I wasn't told to quit, but I probably would have lost my kids, not in a sense where the county came in and took my damn kids, but I was on the verge of losing Monica, DJ, and Jamie, and Tayton, only because they weren't going to put up with me being the way I was. So, Jessica straight up told me that had I not drinking, it was going to be the end. She could not continue to live the way that we were living. But it was a mindset, you know, and going from being on a stage, drunk, making an ass out of myself, and not caring, to seriously being the dad that volunteers for everything at the school. Harper's in preschool, and if there was a day that they needed parents in the classroom, I immediately would sign up to help. I mean, and you're not, I mean, I'm obviously not what they usually look for in a parent at the school, but I turned into the dad that, even though it makes me work a little bit later at night, I take Harper to school every morning. I drop her off at school every morning, and I have since she started school. It just gives us that time. I'm that dad that I wish I could have been for the rest of the kids. And the bitch of it is it could have been done so much longer ago. Sobriety is not as bad as people think. It's not as hard as people think. You know, you get into a groove. Now we have, call it a cliche, we have Sunday family fun day. Maybe people think that's stupid. I don't. I take it pretty damn seriously. Usually Sunday is devoted to what are we doing with the kids. Like, we get a membership to the zoo once a year, or every year. It's like $85, where if we went to the zoo one time, it'd be like 60. So we've been doing the membership for a few years now. So it's obviously worth it. And we're a family that loves animals, so we can go to Binder Park for free as many times as we want, or we can go to John Ball for half off or whatever. So consuming my time, being sober, you can't just sit on your ass, because if you're just laying around, you're gonna get bored. I mean, devil works with idle hands. It's not good to just sit around. For me, I can relax a little bit and it doesn't bother me. But you know, so consuming your time. If you have to, when you first quit, shoot for moderation and not complete abstinence. Wean yourself down. You know, you don't get on a medication through your doctor and take it for 10 years and then they just say stop. That's it. There's a lot of medications that you have to wean down off of, and they do it in slow increments. So, you know, maybe your drinking's at a level you can't handle it. Kick it back a notch, man. Go from 12 to 6 a day or 12 to 8. Fuck, I was drinking cases of beer and fists of Southern Comfort. So I kicked it down pretty big time. I'm not too sure. If anybody's got any questions, go ahead and ask. But before Jess and I got together are the party days. That's I lived on Van Cal for a very short time, couple months, but I worked a week or two, and then wouldn't work for a month. You know, I'd work long enough to make a couple $1,000s, and then I'd party that away, and then I'd work a little more. Before that, it's all been party time. There were a few stints here and there. And the best thing is probably to just jump right back and start with the first one. So, number one, I'm 18, January 9th, actually. And I remember that, or no, January 8th, I'm sorry. I remember that because it's my cousin Josh's birthday. It's 6 months to the day before my birthday. So, June 8th, it would have had to been 99. Or no, January 8th, 2000. Memorial Day weekend. I'm 18 years old, going on 19. Stadium, up at an apartment complex on Drake. I seriously took 2 drinks off of a 40-ouncer, and I drove from one side of Stadium Drive across the street with a headlight out to the Speedway to drop my buddy off. He worked third shift at Speedway. And as soon as I pulled in the parking lot, red and blues. A fucking block. And 3 drinks of a 40-ouncer. I'm not kidding. Under 21, 0 tolerance. Bam. You blow over a .01, you're going to jail, directly to jail. Do not pass go. And definitely don't collect $200 because you better get your fucking wallet out. And I've had some people in my family who had some major issues with drinking and had a lot of DUIs, and I was ashamed of myself. I spent the night in city jail when the Portage City or Kalamazoo City police station was on the corner of Cedar and Lovell. Cedar and Lovell? Yeah, Cedar and Lovell. And we actually had, Josh and Joe and I had an apartment kitty corner to that police station a couple years later. But so I got out of jail. It's like, no, I wasn't in city that time. I was in Kalamazoo County Jail. Yeah. So I get out of jail on Lake Street, 6 a.m. My mom and stepdad lived on Lake Street, and my car was on Drake. And I did not want to call my parents. So I walked down Lake Street, literally walked past my mom's house, my mom and stepdad's house, and see my stepdad sitting at the table drinking coffee. But I'm so ashamed of myself, I didn't want to tell him or her. So I just kept on walking, like Rehab says. I just kept on walking. And that didn't stop me drinking, obviously. I literally, that night, was pounding back, partying like crazy. So, that doesn't change anything. I go to court, they give me like 6 months probation and some fines. I'm like, oh, whatever, you know. By the time I actually went to court for that, it was coming up on April, it was middle of April or something. And Joe and Josh and I had moved into a 2-bedroom apartment on the 3rd floor of a house on Cedar Street, right next to O'Reilly paint or something. And so I went to court for that, and it might have been middle of May, but I got put on probation. And the night before I went to court for sentencing, I got fucking obliterated. Like, I'm thinking they're taking me to jail and blah, blah, blah. I was 19. I didn't realize they're not going to throw you away on a first offense DUI. And they dropped it to what was called a minor with a BAC. If I never got another DUI in my life, I would have, they weren't considering that a DUI. Then if you do, it was like a higher, in between a minor in possession and a DUI. It was minor with a blood alcohol content. So that's my charge, and I seriously thought I was like going to fucking prison over this. You know, I was young and naive. Go into the courtroom, wasted drunk. I was late. My grandma came because my mom had 3 young kids at the house, like twin babies that were like 3 or something like that. I walked in, sat next to my grandma, and she said, "I'm gonna kill you." And I said, "What?" She said, "You reek like beer." It's like, well, I'm going to jail. I didn't go to jail. Anyways, I go downstairs. They put me on probation. It might have been a year. I don't even remember. It's been so long. Go see my probation officer first time. Jody Hins. She's a really cool lady, you know, says, you know, you got to quit drinking. Drug tests. I never had a problem taking drug tests. Everybody else smoked weed. I was never really big into smoking weed. I didn't really do any drugs. I mean, I did drugs recreationally. Never like on a steady basis. But I mean, depends on how you think of it. Alcohol's a drug. Anyways, within a month, I got my second DUI. Memorial Day 2000. That was the one I ended up in city jail. That's what it was. And so I'm in city. The first time I got out on OR bond, I was like, that's nothing. I'm in city on my second, because I had a probation violation too. I had a $500 bond. And today, it absolutely blows my mind, but I sat in jail for, I think, 2 weeks through my birthday. My birthday is tomorrow. And I was in there 2 weeks, over $500. And it got to a point where I was calling home. I was calling and talking to my cousin Josh and my best friend Joe. You know, these are my 2 best friends, my brothers in the whole world. So even when I'm in jail, I was calling them to, you know, just try to feel better or whatever. I call and Joe's like, "Listen, do you want me to ask so-and-so if you can borrow $500? We had a friend that had the money, and honestly, they were, Joe and Josh were trying, and this other person, they were trying to teach me a lesson, really, which back then I thought was fucking completely rude, that they could have bailed me out the next day, and they didn't. They left me in for 2 weeks, but they did. They did come and bail me out. And the first thing I do is walk in our apartment, open the fridge, and crack open a beer. So obviously, brain's not functioning so fucking well, and this is still, I'm 19 years old. After that, I just stopped going to probation. After I went to court, they gave me 30 days in jail, 2 years probation. 30 days was to be served on weekends. Piece of cake. My PO was like, yeah, just get your 30 days done, you know, get in and get them done. I stopped going to probation and just did my own thing for like probably 2.5 years, 3 years maybe. At this time, I'm still not going to AA. I'm still drinking all the time. Like DUIs, driving on a suspended. What the fuck, man? I don't have a license. I'm not going to have a license for a long time. This is just life. This is how you do it. It's who I am. If you can't accept me for who I am, leave me alone. I drink. I'm an alcoholic. That you can't change that. I don't remember how many times I've said that. I borrowed money from a friend and went and cleared my warrants. I had warrants for my arrest. They just put me back on probation. I'm good to go. Like they let me bond it. They gave me a break. So now I'm seeing my PO again, doing what I'm supposed to be doing, going to work. Had Monica, had DJ. Now DJ's, 18 months old, about 2 years old, I think, and living in Scott's. And their mom and I got into a fight, and she decided to leave. She took the kids and left. And here I am in this house that I was buying it for my family, and I'm all alone. I wasn't doing the band anymore, and I wasn't, I wasn't in my right mind, and still drinking every day, still partying every day, and I get popped for my third DUI. Driving down Portage Road, like fucking 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, completely wasted, doing like 90 miles an hour. So I go to jail, number 3. They let me out, $250 bond, and alcohol tether, house arrest, alcohol tether. So my dad pays the bail, and they take me back to my house in Scotts to put my tether in, and my phone line's not working. Come to find out, my ex had somebody come out and fuck with the phone lines so that my phone didn't work. So you could call and my phone would ring, but it wouldn't ring through to my phone in the house because they did something to the junction box outside of the house. Because she didn't want me to, whatever, I don't know what she was a bitch. So luckily my friend across the street, how I met Jess actually, this was her younger sister's best friend. She is bringing me phones, like me and my tether agent are there. It's a Friday, courts are closed, and my tether agent is trying to call the judge, and she's like, what do I do? The phone, he does have a phone line, because they call and make sure you have a phone before they come pick you up out of jail and do this. So this is not new, or this was all new to them. They're trying to figure out what do we do? Take him back to jail? My phone isn't going to work with the tether, so they can't just leave me there until my phone get fixed. That's what I'm trying to talk them into. My neighbor across the street, Stephanie, saved my life, because I'm sitting there in tears. I'm on my back porch, I'm crying, smoking a cigarette, because I know I'm going back to jail. And Stephanie brought me over a different phone, and we tried all these things, and she finally, right before the teller agent was going to throw me back in her car to take me back to jail, Stephanie said, what about can you put him at my house until long enough to get his phone fixed, and then move him back across to his house? So the tether agent jumps back on the phone, does all this rigmarole to get a hold of a judge, because she had to get a hold of an actual judge. The judge gives her permission, so they hook me up at Stephanie's house, who I'm forever grateful to. We've had our ups and downs over the last 14 years, but I still am forever grateful to Stephanie for that, and many other things. But so I lived with her for a while on this house arrest alcohol tether, and her and her kids rearranged their lives for me. I slept on the couch. Now this time I'm sober. I had to be. I'm on tether. Sleeping on Stephanie's couch. I got a dresser in the living room, and like her girls. If I came home from work and was in a stressed out mood, like Stephanie would know it, she'd talk to the girls, and the girls would go play in their rooms so that they weren't bugging me. Stephanie would go lay in her room so I could like sprawl out in the living room and not. I was really lucky to have a friend like that at the time, because I could have just ended up back in jail, and I don't know what would have happened. Because this was just out on bond. I wasn't sentenced to be on this tether. So eventually, so we get my phone lines fixed and everything, and now they're freaking out about everything else. They want to see a copy of my land contract from the guy I'm buying the house from. They want to see a copy of my electric bill, and my phone bill, and my cell phone bill, and all this stuff. They want all this crap to move me back into my own house, and I couldn't produce all of it. My electric bill wasn't current. The power wasn't getting shut off, but I owed last month, and I was paying that month, this month, and so they said, no, they're not going to move me back to my house. I have to find a different place to go. So I can't live in my house, so fuck it. I called the guy I'm buying it from on land contract, tell him I got to go. I can't keep the house, and that's it. And at this time, it was 2002. I was like 22. I was 22 years old. I was buying my own home. I had a 16-year land contract. It'd have been paid for by now. But I let it go, all because I had a DUI. So there's a pretty big, substantial thing. I lost it. It wasn't the greatest house in the world, but it was a 3-bedroom farmhouse out in the country. there was a railroad transfer station on one side and tracks right behind me, so it got pretty loud. But I had like my driveway in the middle, my house in like this tree area, and then the driveway with a nice 2.5 car garage, separate garage, and then there was like an acre, big, huge yard on the right-hand side. And I lost it. I lost that house that I could have kept and provided for Monica and DJ and Jamie at the time, and I didn't because I was drunk. So in the meantime, got myself in some other trouble with some check bullshit. I'm not even going to get into that. I was lucky I didn't go to jail for that. But so I'm on this tether. Luckily enough, my cousin Danielle and Steve let me come live with them. So I got a dedicated phone line. I'm in the basement, and I'm working, and you know, everything's going good. I'm still sober. You know, I'm not going back to jail. I got this tether on my ankle, and I'm not taking any chances. So I'm doing my thing, and going to court, and I'm thinking this is the time. So I was dating this girl, and we had tickets to a Pistons game, and it was the night after I would have gotten off tether. Or it was the night, 2 nights after my court hearing. And I'm thinking I'm going to this court hearing. They were charging me with a felony, that I'm going to plead guilty finally, and they're going to drop it to a misdemeanor, and, you know, that'll be it. I'll do whatever they got to do, probation probably. So I plead guilty, and they don't drop it. And he says, if you plead not guilty today, you know, we'll get another court hearing in about a month. You'll get it dropped to a misdemeanor if you wait a month. And I said, fuck it. I'm a drunk. I'm an alcoholic. I'm going to be back here. I know it doesn't matter. I'm going to get a felony. I am who I am. This is my life. It doesn't even matter. You know, I'm going to end up with a felony sometime. Just fucking stupidity. All brought on by my drinking. So I plead guilty. They take the tether off. They sentence me to another 30 days. Able to serve on weekends. And felony probation. Still no normal monitoring of my drinking. Take a drug test once a month. That happened once. And then that was it. They didn't drug test me after that. Like nothing. Like, you know, looking back, I'm kind of pissed off at the system. Like, they should have thrown the book at me at number 1 and 2 when they saw me get my second DUI 6 months after my first. I really wish they would have just tore me up. But they didn't. They were giving me chances. And I understand that, and I respect that from the judicial system. They thought that maybe that would have woke me up. You weren't waking me up at that time. It was just fucking horrible the way I lived. The thoughts that I had in my brain, you know, on how I thought shit was normal, not good. So I'm doing the felony probation thing, and I missed one of my check-in days. Fuck it, I'll just run again. So I'm on the run. About 3 or 4 months, I was on the run, and then, matter of fact, right before my birthday, right this time of year, my PO calls me and she says, hey, I didn't know who it was. I usually didn't answer numbers that were unknown. But this is back in the Nextel days, so they didn't have the best caller ID. You didn't always get, you know, the right answer. So I answer the phone, and it's my PO, and she is normally a real bitch. But she's kind of like joking around with me. So, you know, how's your life been the last couple months? And I'm like, you know, it's all right. And she said, how come I haven't seen you? And I said, honestly, I forgot, and I didn't show up, and I figured you were putting a warrant out for me. I didn't want to go to jail, so I figured I'd just run. And she said, well, you got an option here. She said, I'll give you a birthday present. This will be your free pass. You come in and see me today. This is like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. She said, you come see me today before 5, and we'll just squash this, call it all good, and you just carry on with life. All right, let's do it. And she says, but I've got to start doing my weekends. I got to start serving my 30 days weekends. So I turned myself in. This was, I don't know, it was October or something like that. I turned myself in to serve a weekend, and within 10 minutes find out that I've got a warrant for my arrest for child support, 30-day pay or stay. And I didn't have $1,500. No, they wanted $3,000. And so I call my PO. I'm like, look, is there something you can do? You know, I'm reaching for anything to get out of jail. And my PO says, you know, you already got to do 30 days for me. So she said, I could probably get you out, but no. So they're looking at it. I've already got to do 30 days for my DUI. I got to do 30 days for this child support thing. So that was it. I'm in jail. And I'll tell you what, at that time, I was definitely not, I mean, I'm not built for jail now, but at that time, mentally, I was not as strong as I am now. I was in a cell, and I'm not racist, so don't go there, but I was in a cell with 5 black guys, and they fucked with me. I was tall, skinny, scrawny, big ass German cross tattooed on my leg. They called me Snowflake, and I considered it a term of endearment. At first, they called me Snowflake just because they were trying to start shit. They were trying to get me pissed off and get me thrown out of there and, you know, thrown in the hole or whatever. I ended up standing up to them after about a week, and then the guys were cool, and then they called me Snowflake because it was just kind of a, you know, a name, a joke name or whatever. Let's see if this works. Is that a little better? So, still not done drinking. At this time, though, I was in a relationship with somebody. I'm not going to bring her name into it either, but this is before Jess. We have an apartment together, and right up off Gull Road, so I was not too far away from the courthouse and stuff, so I could walk. And I had bought a car from a friend of mine for super cheap, and I slapped a plate on it that was somebody else's plate, and I didn't have a license. I had no way to get a car legal, you know, get insurance. So that's just how I did back then. And me and this girl, like she wouldn't be with me if I was drinking. So I quit drinking. Well, she didn't think that I quit drinking, and so we just had major issue after issue after issue. She ended up asking me to move out. She supposedly still wanted a relationship, but I didn't believe it. So moved into my buddy's basement just to get out of there till I could get my own place again. And immediately, you know, I wasn't out of that apartment for 2 hours, and I had a case of beer, Bud Light cracked, and chugging them. I mean, down in these motherfuckers, because that's what I did. So I'm single. I'm going back to it. I'm hitting the party mode again. Ended up moving out of there. Got my own place. Actually, that's when I moved out of there, and I moved out to Van Cal. And Van Cal, I could talk about Van Cal for a month. Let's just say that the place I was living on Van Cal, a lot of you guys have been there and partied there. A lot of you guys know what it was about. Van Cal was where you went when you wanted to have fun and party, because there was 3 of us that lived there, and one of us was always ready to drink beer. I was always ready to drink beer. Joe was usually ready to drink beer, and Matt didn't drink. So, but you know, we were always throwing horseshoes. After dark, we'd light up the horseshoe pits with cars, you know, car headlights. Always, and Matt and Joe were in a band. I wasn't in bands anymore. I was kind of working on a band thing with Matt, trying to play the bass with them, with him and Joe Sontag, which actually turned into Mine Enemies Fall, which was a badass band. But Sons of Revolution, that's who Joe and Matt were the band. So I was just, you know, I'd go to their shows all the time, and they were practicing in the basement. That was it, you know. So actually, Freedom Fest, my wife's on. Hi, baby. That's how Jess and I ended up getting together. We knew each other back from when I lived in that house in Scotts, and Stephanie let me move into her house, my tether, that whole thing. I actually met Jess in my driveway, and I told my buddy Sean Nordman that I wanted Jess and I was going to have her. And I didn't mean it in some sexual way. I meant like I liked her a lot, and I wanted her and I to be together. Freedom Fest, most of you know what that is. I'm not going to dig into that. This is kind of the short version of the sobriety thing. So partying all the time, Southern Comfort, and drinking. I mean, all the time. All the time. I woke up drinking Southern Comfort. So Freedom Fest, I run into Jess. She's there. Party actually got busted up. and she was trying to find a ride home because she's a responsible human being, unlike me, and didn't want to drink and drive. So I said, you know, we were friends. I said, why don't you just crash here? So she crashed with me at the house, and that was the first time we kind of hung out. That was kind of seeming like more than friends to me. So, and that's where this all started with her and I got a hold of her a couple days later, and we hung out the next weekend, and it was like we were together 2 or 3 days, and that was it. Like I lived there, I moved in, and we've been together ever since, which is coming up on 12 years. At the end of this month, we'll be together 12 years. So now I'm finally in a relationship with somebody I want to live with. Jess wanted me to be who I was. She allowed me to be who I was, and I took major advantage of it. And I'm lucky that she stuck by me as long as she did. But Thursday night was Dart League. Friday night was bowling. Saturday night was just fucking Saturday. You have to drink. Sundays were usually spent curled up in bed upstairs watching movies because I was too hungover to move. Monday was, of course, it was Monday. It was a long day at work, so I had to go to RJ's and drink. Tuesday, might take a break. Most times stopped and had a beer. What I'm getting at here is, for a very long time, I drank every day of the week, even with Jess and I being together. And she put up with it, and not because I'm some amazing man, but because she says because she saw potential in me and knew that I was a better person than what I was leading on at that time. So, where to go here? I ended up getting picked up for something, and I went to KPEP. What the fuck was it? Oh, my 4th DUI. Jeez. So Jess and I went out to Van Cal. Went out to a party out at Van Cal. This was the first time I'd been out there in a few months. So I was hammered before we even went out there. It was a bad idea to go out there. But we had it planned out. Her sister and her sister's wife actually came and picked us up. They were taking us back to their house. And then we get to their house. Jess walks in the door. As soon as she fell asleep, I walked right back out the door. I jumped in my truck and drove back out to Pawpaw and meet the other Joe at Sportsman's. And I get popped doing 60 and a 50 on M43. So this is number 4. I'm on probation. I was actually running from probation, my felony probation, for DUI number 3. This is DUI number 4 in Van Buren County. So the next morning, I'm not expecting to get out of jail because I'm running. I'm running anyways. Jess calls and they say whatever. I don't even remember what my bond was. I think it was like $500. We didn't have the money. I know my Uncle Lloyd and a bunch of other people chipped in. What's up, kid?
Yeah.
What, baby?
I'm coming down.
No, you can't be out here right now, sweetie. There's too many mosquitoes.
But I want me in the video.
You want to shoot a video? Okay, I'll say goodbye to them in just 1 minute. Let me finish my Aki cigarette and I'm coming in, okay? We'll call this one quits and I'll make a video with you, okay? Sorry, guys. Duty calls. I just lit a cigarette. I can give you a skinny here. So picked up for number 4. Next morning, there's no hold. I'm talking to Jess and she's like, no, there's no hold. I said, get me the fuck out of here before they lock me up for good. Like I'm thinking I'm doing 5 years in prison. Easily going to do 5 years in prison. The long and short of it, that's what it was looking like. Jess stuck with me though. I'm sober. Now, every time I get in trouble, I'm doing great. I don't have a problem staying sober. And I didn't have a problem meeting every expectation that the courts or whoever had for me. I was good. Which should have been a sign to me that I could have done this without going back to drinking, you know. But I get DUI number 4, and I'm telling you, my PO in Kalamazoo was out for blood. Van Buren was out for blood. Somehow, Van Buren and Kalamazoo, like Kalamazoo thought Van Buren was throwing me in prison. Van Buren thought Kalamazoo was throwing me in prison for the violation. Somehow I ended up getting thrown on felony probation again. I had to do time with an alcohol tether. I did some time in jail and KPEP. Right? I think so. So I'm doing good. 6 months later, me and my buddies, me and Jess and one of my friends, and we all go to South Haven, and right away me and this guy walk into town, start drinking Long Island iced teas, go back to the beach, we all load up, start drinking. We bought a fifth of mixed, the pre-mixed, drinking that. We're hammered. Stop at my buddy's house. I get into a brutal freaking argument with him, which was stupid. Somebody I love dearly, and I was up in his face. Get back to the guy's house I was hanging out with. We both jump on our motorcycles and split. I'm wearing no shirt, flip-flops, and shorts, riding my motorcycle. Driving down Oakland Drive, car swerves in our lane. We both swerve. He hits a mailbox end over end, broken legs, broken arms, broken neck. He didn't die, and he wasn't paralyzed, but very, very scary. It could have been so much worse. I slid down the side of the car and ended up walking away without a scratch. But I woke up in jail in a suicide cell because Jess had called and said, because when I talked to Jess, I told her, if I go to prison, I'm going to kill myself. I didn't know how to deal with life at that time. I was wasted. It was bullshit. But they let me go. Like, they let me walk out of the jail, and I'm going, what the fuck? This is crazy. It turns out if you deny a breathalyzer and they have to draw blood, they cannot give you a positive immediately. So they release you until they get the results, then they send you a warrant and you go to court. My PO didn't know yet, so I walk out the door and I'm planning on running, and then we find out that Jess is on my bond from Van Buren. I don't even remember what it was now. It's been so long. I don't know. But I ended up riding it out. I went to court. Same scenario. Kalamazoo thought Van Buren was going to throw the book at me. Van Buren thought Kalamazoo was going to throw the book at me. Judge Jaguar said, I think you have a problem, and I'm going to give you an opportunity. I was looking at 7 to 10 years. I would just be getting out of prison right now, actually, right around now. But he gave me a chance. I did 6 months in county, and I had already done 3 months before I was able to bond out. And me bonding out at that time, that saved me from going to prison. Had I not got bonded out, I would have went to prison because I showed him I was going to be sober. And I made it all through drug court. I did it all. I had to go in and do 3 more months. I got out. I was on drug court. It was great. Life was really good. I was doing everything I was supposed to do, and I graduated drug court, and things were a struggle. It's just been crazy. I'm probably going to end this little bitty story here for the night, and I'll get back on, but I got dad duties to deal with. Harper wants to make a video, so you're going to see me live again in just a minute. Excuse me, but it's going to be about Harper. So what we're talking about now is from drug court to now. So this is about 3 years ago, I think 4 years ago, I got done with drug court. So this is the most serious stuff. This is where I had to find, I know it sounds stupid, this is where I had to find myself. There's a whole lot that has come about since I got off drug court, so you'll have to tune into the next time on this one. Again, though, if you're having problems with sobriety, send me a message, give me a call, shoot me a text. I'm no genius, and I am not Mr. Perfect, but I might have been in some situation that's similar to yours. So y'all be safe. and we'll continue Sober Sunday maybe later tonight after I get Harper to bed, or maybe we'll just continue it. It'll be Sober Monday and we can pick up where we left off. Again, everybody do me a favor, like, subscribe, share. Head over to the Usual Suspect Facebook page. I'm going to start doing things over there, so I'd really appreciate it if you did the notifications from over there so that you guys can catch all the stuff that I'm doing. Love y'all. Take care.